Section 2 of Billy and Bunbury. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Patty Cunningham. Billy and Bunbury by Royal Baking Powder Company. Section 2. The Recipes. Cocoa Raisin Muffins. 1 3/4 cups flour, 2 tablespoons cocoa, 5 tablespoons sugar, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon, 4 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder, 2/3 cup raisins, 7/8 cup milk, 5 tablespoons melted shortening. Sift together flour, cocoa, sugar, salt, cinnamon, and baking powder. Add raisins, then milk slowly to make a smooth batter. Add shortening and mix thoroughly. Put 1 tablespoon batter in each greased muffin tin and bake in moderate oven, 400 degrees, for about 20 minutes. Make 16 muffins. Muffin surprises. 1 cup flour, 1 cup graham flour, 3/4 teaspoon salt, 4 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder, 1 cup milk, 1 egg, 3 tablespoons sugar or molasses, 4 tablespoons melted shortening. Mix together dry ingredients. Add milk, beaten egg, molasses if used, and shortening. Stir until smooth. Half fill each greased gem pan. Drop in center a stoned date, a teaspoon currant jelly, candied cherry, or other fruit. Add teaspoon of batter and bake in moderate oven, 375 degrees, about 25 minutes. Makes 12 muffins. All measurements are level. Flapjacks. 1 3/4 cups flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 3 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder, 2 eggs, 1 1/2 cups milk, 1 tablespoon shortening. Sift dry ingredients together. Add beaten eggs, milk, and melted shortening. Mix well. Bake on hot, slightly greased griddle until bubbles appear. Turn over quickly and brown other side. Serve immediately on hot plate with plenty of butter and syrup, or butter and cinnamon mixed with sugar. Makes 24 flapjacks. Flapjacks with rice. 1 cup boiled rice, 1 cup milk, 1 tablespoon melted shortening, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 egg, 1 cup flour, 4 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder. Mix rice, milk, shortening, salt, and well-beaten egg. Stir in flour and baking powder, which have been sifted together. Mix well, adding more milk if necessary to make a soft batter. Bake on hot, slightly greased griddle until bubbles appear. Turn over quickly and brown other side. Serve immediately on hot plate with plenty of butter and syrup, or butter and cinnamon mixed with sugar. Makes 24 flapjacks. All measurements are level. Doughnuts. These doughnuts are very wholesome and excellent for children. They do not contain any shortening and should be fried very carefully in fat at just the right temperature so that no grease will be absorbed. They can be served plain or sprinkled with powdered sugar after they have thoroughly drained and cooled. 2 eggs, 3/4 cup milk, 2 3/4 cups flour, 1 teaspoon salt, 4 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder, 1 cup sugar, 1/2 teaspoon nutmeg or cinnamon. Save 1/3 cup of measured flour for board. Beat eggs until light. Add milk, then add this liquid to the dry ingredients which have been sifted well together. Roll out 1/4 inch thick on slightly floured board and fry in deep fat, 365 degrees to 375 degrees. Drain well on unglazed paper. Sprinkle with powdered sugar. Makes 30 doughnuts. All measurements are level. Sugar cookies. 1/2 cup shortening, 1 1/2 cup sugar, 1/4 cup milk, 2 eggs, 1/2 teaspoon grated nutmeg, 1 teaspoon vanilla or grated rind of 1 lemon, 3 to 4 cups flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 2 1/2 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder. Cream, shortening and sugar together. Add milk to beaten eggs and beat again. Add slowly to creamed shortening and sugar. Add flavoring. Add 2 cups of measured flour sifted with salt, baking powder and nutmeg. Add enough more flour to roll easily. Roll out thin on floured board. Cut with any fancy shaped cookie cutter. Sprinkle with granulated sugar, or put a raisin or nut in the center of each. Bake about 10 minutes in moderate oven, 380 degrees. For chocolate cookies, put a side portion of the dough before adding all the flour, and add 2 tablespoons cocoa to each cup of cookie dough. Makes 4 dozen cookies. All measurements are level. Butterscotch curls. 2 cups flour, 4 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder, 2/3 teaspoon salt, 4 tablespoons shortening, 2/3 cup milk, butter, brown sugar. Sift dry ingredients. Add shortening, mixing it in with a fork. If liquid shortening is used, add with milk. Add milk to make a fairly soft dough. Knead slightly and roll out 1/4 inch thick. Spread well with creamed butter and brown sugar. Roll up as for jelly roll. Cut in 1-inch pieces. Stand these on end in well-buttered gem pans, or in small greased muffin rings, and bake in a hot oven, 425 degrees, about 15 minutes. Makes 12 rolls, or 22 if baked in small rings. Peanut cookies. 1 cup flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 2 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder, 2 tablespoons shortening, 1 cup chopped peanuts, 1/2 cup sugar, 1/4 cup milk, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon lemon juice. Sift dry ingredients together. Add melted shortening to beaten egg. Add milk and lemon juice and mix well with the dry ingredients to make a soft dough. Add peanuts. Mix well and drop with teaspoon on greased pan. Bake in moderate oven, 400 degrees, about 20 minutes. This recipe makes about 4 dozen small cookies and requires 1 quart of peanuts. All measurements are level. Biscuit tarts. 2 cups flour, 3 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 tablespoon sugar, 1 egg, 2 tablespoons shortening, 1/3 cup milk. Sift together flour, baking powder, salt and sugar. Add well-beaten egg and melted shortening to milk, and add to dry ingredients to make soft dough. Roll out on floured board, 1/8 inch thick. Cut out with medium-sized biscuit cutter which has been dipped in flour. Then, taking a smaller cutter, cut half of these rounds again. Brush the large rounds lightly with melted butter. Then take the outer rings and lay on top of the large buttered rounds. Put on greased baking tin. Put a teaspoon of jam in each tart and bake in hot oven, 475 degrees, for about 10 minutes. The small centers can be brushed with butter and baked in the same manner and served as little tea biscuits. Makes 10 tarts with 10 tiny biscuits. All measurements are level. Party cakes. 1/2 cup butter, 1 cup sugar, 2 eggs, 2/3 cup milk, 2 cups flour, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 3 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. Cream butter. Add sugar slowly. Add beaten eggs. Sift flour, salt and baking powder together. Add a little at a time, alternately with the milk to the first mixture. Beat thoroughly. Add flavoring and bake in greased small gem pans in a hot oven, 425 degrees, about 20 minutes. Cover with plain white frosting. Makes 18 cakes. For chocolate cakes, add 1/2 cup cocoa mixed with 1/2 cup cold water to the above recipe. Makes 24 cakes. Cover with the following meringue. Jelly meringue. White of 1 egg, 1/2 cup currant or other jelly. Put egg white and jelly together into bowl and beat with egg beater or wire whip until stiff. Spread on tops of cakes. All measurements are level. Birthday cake. 1 cup butter, 1 1/2 cups sugar, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon lemon extract, 5 eggs, 1/3 cup milk, 2 1/2 cups pastry flour, 2 teaspoons Dr. Price's baking powder. Cream butter thoroughly. Beat in sugar a little at a time. Add flavoring and yolks of eggs beaten until pale yellow. Add milk, beating in a little at a time. Beat egg whites until light. Sift flour with baking powder 3 times. Add alternately small portions of egg whites and flour, and stir mixture until light and fluffy. Bake in greased loaf pan in moderate oven, 350 degrees, about 1 hour. Cover with following ornamental frosting: 1 1/2 cups granulated sugar, 1/2 cup water, 2 egg whites, 1/8 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon flavoring extract, half lemon, half vanilla. Boil sugar and water without stirring until syrup spins a thread, 238 degrees. Add slowly to beaten egg whites. Add salt and flavoring. Beat until smooth and stiff enough to spread. Put over boiling water, stirring continually, until icing grates slightly on bowl. Spread on top and sides of cake. All measurements are level. End of Section 2. Recording by Patty Cunningham.